A kind-hearted black man named Michael stops to help a desperate white woman named Juliet change her flat tire on the side of the road. A simple act of kindness that he never thought would lead to anything more, but the next morning, a mysterious black SUV shows up at Michael's house, sparking a chain of events that will change his life forever. What was it about this seemingly random encounter that turned Michael's world upside down, and how did his selfless act ripple through his life in ways he never imagined? Let's find out. But before we dive into the story, comment below where you are watching from today, and if you enjoy this tale of unexpected twists and life-changing moments, don't forget to subscribe. It was a quiet night in the city of Bellwood, and Michael was driving home after a long shift at his job as a maintenance worker. As he cruised down a nearly empty street, the faint glow of hazard lights caught his attention. A lone car was parked on the side of the road with a woman standing beside it, clearly struggling with a flat tire. Michael pulled over, his natural instinct to help kicking in. As he stepped out of his car, he noticed the woman, visibly flustered, pacing beside the damaged vehicle. "Hey, everything okay?" Michael asked, approaching cautiously. The woman looked up, startled, before letting out a sigh of relief. "I've got a flat tire, and I don't know how to fix it," she admitted, her voice slightly shaky. Michael nodded, immediately setting his eyes on the problem. "No worries, I'll get it fixed for you in no time," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. As he worked on the tire, Juliet, the woman, watched him in awe. She explained that she was on her way to an important business meeting and was already running late. Michael listened, nodding occasionally but focusing on the task at hand. Within minutes, he had the spare tire on and was tightening the bolts. "You're a lifesaver," Juliet exclaimed, her face lit with gratitude. "Let me pay you for your trouble." Michael shook his head with a soft smile. "No need for that. Just glad I could help." They exchanged a few more words before parting ways, but neither knew that this chance encounter was the beginning of something much bigger. Juliet couldn't stop thinking about Michael as she drove away that night. His kindness stood in stark contrast to the stress of her day. The important meeting that awaited her now seemed insignificant compared to the unexpected connection she felt with him. She replayed their brief interaction in her mind, admiring how effortlessly he handled the situation with such grace. When she finally arrived at her destination, a high-rise office building where her family's real estate firm was based, Juliet found it hard to concentrate. Her colleagues greeted her with nods and smiles, but all she could think about was Michael. He had saved her evening, and she felt a strong urge to show her appreciation, even if he had insisted on refusing any monetary reward. After the meeting, she called her younger brother, Ethan, who worked with their family. "Ethan, do you remember that story I told you about the guy who helped me with my flat tire?" "Yeah, what about it?" he replied, clearly distracted by his own tasks. "I want to find him," she declared, surprising herself with the intensity of her desire to track down a man she'd met for only a few minutes. "I want to do something nice for him." "You're not thinking of offering him money again, are you? You know how that usually goes," Ethan cautioned. "No, not money," Juliet insisted, determination rising in her voice. "I want to invite him to meet our family. We could offer him something that actually makes a difference. He deserves more than just a thank you." Ethan sighed, considering her words. "All right, I'll help you. Just be careful, you don't know this guy very well." That night, as Juliet fell asleep, she felt a sense of purpose. She was determined to seek out Michael and show her gratitude in a meaningful way. The next morning, as the sun broke through the clouds, Michael woke up in his modest apartment. He stretched and glanced out the window, noticing the usual hustle and bustle of the city. However, today was different. A sleek black SUV was parked outside his building, standing out amongst the older cars on the street. Curiosity piqued, Michael walked over to get a better look. The vehicle was pristine, shining in the morning light, and he felt a strange mix of apprehension and intrigue. Just then, the passenger door swung open, and a sharply dressed man stepped out. "Michael, right?" the man said, adjusting his tie and walking towards him with confidence. "Yes, that's me," Michael replied, trying to gauge the man's intentions. "Can I help you?" The man introduced himself as David, a representative of Juliet's family. Michael's brow furrowed in confusion. "Juliet? The woman I helped with her tire? David nodded, a wide smile spreading across his face. Exactly. She spoke very highly of you. Her family would like to discuss a proposition with you. If you have a moment, we'd love to talk. Michael hesitated. The sudden intrusion into his life felt overwhelming, but curiosity won out. Sure, I can spare a minute. What's this about? David gestured for Michael to follow him to the SUV. Let's discuss this in private. As they climbed into the vehicle, Michael felt a whirlwind of thoughts racing through his mind. He had no idea what Juliet's family wanted from him, but the stakes felt high. Once inside the SUV, Michael was taken aback by the luxury surrounding him. David settled into the seat beside him, pulling out a tablet filled with images and figures. Juliet's family was incredibly impressed by your kindness, David began, his tone professional yet warm. They want to extend a generous reward to you for helping her. We believe that kindness should be recognized. Michael shifted uncomfortably in his seat, a lump forming in his throat. I didn't help her for anything in return, he said softly. I just did what anyone should do. David nodded, acknowledging Michael's humility. That's exactly why we want to reward you. Juliet mentioned your work in the community, and her family is interested in a partnership that goes beyond just monetary compensation. What do you mean? Michael asked, intrigued but wary. They want to support you in your efforts to uplift your community. The funds could help with local projects, businesses, or initiatives you're passionate about, David explained, leaning in slightly. Juliet believes you could make a real difference with the right resources. Michael's heart raced. The idea of having financial support to help his community was a dream come true, but he felt a wave of skepticism wash over him. What's the catch? Why would they want to help me? There's no catch, David reassured him. They genuinely want to give back. Juliet's family understands the impact of kindness and wants to promote the same values. They just need a leader, someone they can trust to direct their efforts. As Michael absorbed David's words, he began to see the potential. He thought of the community center in dire need of renovations, the youth programs that had been cut due to lack of funding, and the local school that struggled with resources. Could he really turn this opportunity into something meaningful? That evening, after the meeting with David, Michael sat on his small balcony, staring out at the city skyline as the sun dipped below the horizon. The weight of the day pressed heavily on his shoulders. The prospect of receiving help from Juliet's wealthy family filled him with excitement, but it was also terrifying. His phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a text from his friend, Marcus. Hey, man, let's grab a drink later. I want to hear about your day. Michael hesitated but finally decided to join Marcus at a nearby bar. As he walked in, he spotted his friend at a corner table, a cold drink waiting for him. Hey, you look deep in thought, Marcus said, raising an eyebrow as Michael slid into the seat. I just met someone from Juliet's family, Michael said, his voice low. They want to offer me money to help the community. Marcus leaned forward, interest peaked. That's amazing. What's the problem? It feels complicated, Michael confessed. I don't want to be seen as some charity case. I've worked hard for everything I have, and I'm not sure how the community would feel about me taking money from them. Bro, this could be a game changer. Think of all the good you could do, Marcus urged. You're a good guy, and you deserve this opportunity. Just make sure you use it wisely. Michael pondered Marcus's words. What if they only want to help me for show? I can't be their token project. Then don't let them. Set your terms. You can do this on your own terms, man. If you think you can make a difference, why not give it a shot? Marcus encouraged. As the night wore on, Michael felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this was a chance to create lasting change, but he still had to tread carefully. A few days later, Michael found himself standing in front of a sprawling mansion in the affluent neighborhood of Crestwood. The building loomed above him, an emblem of wealth and success. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the meeting. As he stepped through the grand entrance, he was greeted by Juliet's mother, Claire, who welcomed him with an inviting smile. We're so glad you could make it, Michael, she said, her voice warm and genuine. Juliet has told us so much about you. "Thank you for having me," Michael replied, trying to keep his nerves in check. Juliet entered the room shortly after, her presence instantly making Michael feel more at ease. She smiled brightly at him. "I'm so glad you're here. We really appreciate your time." They led him to a spacious living room filled with elegant furniture and art that showcased the family's wealth. As they sat down, Claire wasted no time getting to the point. "Michael, we want to thank you for your kindness to Juliet," Claire began. "It's rare to find someone who embodies the spirit of generosity, and we admire that. We'd like to discuss how we can help you help your community." As they shared their vision, Michael listened intently. The family explained how they wanted to support initiatives that aligned with his values, emphasizing community development, education, and empowerment. They spoke of creating programs that could uplift those in need, directly aligning with what he had always dreamed of. "What kind of projects do you have in mind?" David asked, leaning forward with interest. Michael took a moment to gather his thoughts. "There are a few things I'd love to do. Revamping the local community center, starting after-school programs for kids, and providing job training for young adults. There's a lot of potential in our neighborhood, but we need the resources to make it happen." Juliet's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I love those ideas. We want to support your vision, whatever it takes." For the first time, Michael felt the weight of the world lift off his shoulders. This was an opportunity to create real change, but he also felt the gravity of responsibility resting on him. Over the following weeks, Michael and Juliet's family met regularly to strategize how to implement the plans they had discussed. The more they talked, the clearer it became that Juliet's family genuinely wanted to create a positive impact. They were motivated not just by gratitude,